A while ago I made a video, the first video in this series in fact, called The Online Disappearance of Crank That Frank, which if the title of the video didn't give it away, looked into the online disappearance of Crank That Frank. The difference between an online disappearance and a real life disappearance is that they've only stopped being active online where they used to. They're still alive, they just don't share live updates either at all or not anywhere close to how they used to. This includes privating every video or deleted social media accounts. It's going off the grid on official accounts basically. Anyway, the Frank video, outside of Frank of course, mentioned a person called Ever. So in this video I want to talk about Ever. A bit like how I made a video about Johnny Gilbert after the video about Alex Dorame. Unlike Frank, Ever has not disappeared from the internet. A bit like how Alex disappeared from the internet but Johnny didn't. So let's talk about what happened to Evangeline Demuro. Ever started on YouTube in early 2014, a while after Frank. Although outside of their relationship at the time and collabs, there wasn't really any crossover in content. Even looking back at Ever's oldest available content on her YouTube channel, it is makeup related, whereas Frank was initially a challenge channel who turned into an emo YouTuber. She was uploading somewhat consistently on YouTube up until around mid-2020, with her last full upload being 2020's popular TikTok songs Pick My Makeup, although she did somewhat start posting again this year, but in the form of 2 YouTube shorts. There are actually 3, but I can't tell when the oldest one was posted as comments are disabled, so I'm just going to say there was 2 this year. Although she's been inactive on YouTube, she has by no means disappeared. She just seemingly turned her attention to different social medias outside of YouTube. She has just over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is one of the lowest counts on any social media platform she has. Her cover photo on her YouTube channel shows her username on different social medias. I want to run through them. The last tweet on her Twitter was in October of 2021 on the Evangeline Demuro account, where she has 72,000 followers. An account with the same name but on Twitch instead has not streamed for 3 years, which is therefore likely sometime in 2020. There's a chance that it could change to 4 years tomorrow or in a month or so, and it would just imply it was 2019, but I'm going to say 2020. She has 2 social medias with her full name as the username, those being Instagram and TikTok. Instagram she has just under 190,000 followers, although the post you can see that she has taken a liking to is fitness content and getting fit in general, as opposed to the makeup content she used to post on Instagram, Twitter and to her YouTube. Although she does occasionally post the makeup stuff still, the posts are largely about being healthy and her gym adventures now. The most recent post was just 4 days ago as of writing this. Her TikTok is her most popular platform with almost 350,000 followers, and the last post being 3 days ago as of writing this. But it does feature something that I want to talk about. You can see that her link tree is different on TikTok. It doesn't actually link to anything, but the link was for Evangeline Goya, whereas the one on Instagram, as you can see, is Evangeline Demuro. As said briefly in my Frank video, they got married. I wasn't actually sure in my Frank video if the photo that had been posted to social media by a fan was actually real or not. I decided to look more into it for this video, and with not much research I did actually find a website for the wedding and photos from it. It took place in October of 2022, and it is indeed real. They have separated since. It took place in Florida. Ever is currently in LA according to her Instagram bio. As far as I know, details about what happened haven't been spoken about, but there may be some indication as to when it happened. Frank hasn't been online for years at this point, so there isn't anything that can be gathered from his social media because it simply doesn't exist. But Ever's does. If you go back to the previously mentioned popular TikTok songs Pick My Makeup video, the description has a link to a previous video, which has been privatized. I thought this was going to be a perfect segue to the next thing, but it's not. It looks like the video was called I'm Back and I Bleach My Eyebrows ? I thought it would be a video with Frank, as she has removed any video of them together from her channel after the breakup. By Social Blade you can see she lost almost 900,000 views worth of videos in February. This implies the video has been made private or unlisted or has been removed. Although in saying that, one of the few that have been removed that was saved to the Wayback Machine didn't actually have Frank in it at all. It was called Icy Winter Makeup Tutorial. So maybe my theory about her just removing the videos with Frank in February of this year isn't entirely true. Even though the Frank videos don't exist on her channel anymore. The Kinda Emo Tour announcement does though. Late last year she also lost 80,000 views worth of videos, and I don't know what they were. That was before the wedding, so it doesn't make sense that they'd be videos with Frank in them, unless of course when he left the internet he wanted her to remove those videos as well. I'm not 100% sure. If you go to her channel and search Frank or boyfriend, you see that there aren't any videos with Frank in them, that are public at least. And if you go to some of her playlist, you see that there are hidden videos and they're private. That's how I found the icy winter makeup tutorial video. I tried like 5 different URLs and that was the only one that was saved, so I don't know what the others are. Just like in the Crank That Frank video, I'm not here to speculate on what happened, but maybe one day Eva will say something and we'll clear the air about it. There's a chance that maybe her TikToks have said more than I know, or her Instagram posts potentially. I honestly didn't scour through them for any information. I'm sure if something did happen or does happen, you'll let me know in the comment section of this video or the Frank video. Obviously I don't know everything and it's really helpful when people share insight into things that I missed or haven't seen in my research. It helps me understand more, and if people are in the comment section themselves and they watch the video and read the comments, then they have more of a complete understanding of what they're watching. In this video I'm just presenting what I've found in my research. I will say that Eva seems like she's in a decent place, which is really nice. Still no update from Frank, of course. Sorry there hasn't been a video for a few weeks now. I was sick. And then I went and stayed at a relative's place for half a week. I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen the video about Frank and want to, it'll be on the end card. RobbyEpicSauce is someone I've mentioned briefly in a few videos, most recently the Hearts Held video, but I haven't dedicated a video to him specifically, until now that is, and he has an interesting history with YouTube. So let's talk about what happened to RobbyEpicSauce. What a better way to start a video than at the start. Although if you go to his channel, now simply called Robby, his creation date was late 2015. This wasn't his start on YouTube, not his first channel, in fact it was his 4th from what I can tell. The earliest of the 4 as far as I know was initially entitled Robby with a 13 after the B, stylized as ROB13Y. Something that hasn't aged well in the first save of the channel on the Wayback Machine is having Onision listed as an inspiration. But in saying that, this was back in 2011, when Robby was 17, although the channel was created in 2010. He also had a channel called Letters to You. I was initially unsure if it was his channel, but it's listed in his channel box in 2011 with a video uploaded of the same name too. Although there's no save of the channel or the video, but the channel does actually still exist if you put the URL into YouTube. But when you go to it, there's no videos, but there's one subscription that's public, and it is to, you guessed it, Robby. Letters to You was created in 2011, although the icing on the cake about it actually being his channel is the fact that there's a Tumblr for it, which is very obviously him. The aforementioned Robby now links you to an empty channel called Robby Switch Channels, link in bio. But we still have 2 more channels to go through before we even talk about the content he was making. Robby Game Source was created in 2013 as a gaming channel. It's still online with no uploads for 6 years at this point. And last but not least, 2011 saw the creation of RobbyEpicSauce, subtitled at the time as Robby's Vlogs. Out of all the channels mentioned, this channel was not only abandoned, but it no longer exists and has been deleted in its entirety since. Someone in the comments of his Wikipedia article stated that they think it was hacked and it was deleted as a result of that. Although he still has the username RobbyEpicSauce on multiple social media platforms, which is nice. He abandoned the channel in 2017. In the last video on the channel he states he did a poll on Twitter and asked on YouTube as well, and that a lot of people agreed that he should just have a single channel for everything. So that was what he did.
I made a poll on Twitter and a remarkable 80% of you or something like that said that I should just put everything on one channel. And then I asked you guys in a video a few days ago, what do you guys think I should do? And pretty much everyone said the same thing. I guess that means everyone go over to my main channel. I've had a lot of great moments on this channel, but you know what? We're gonna make some even greater moments on my new channel.
But before we talk about Robby the channel, let's talk a little bit about what RobbyEpicSauce was. As previously mentioned on this channel, Robby was part of the emo scene, so much so someone actually made a petition for him to be the 8th member of My Digital Escape. Frequently collaborated with members of the group like Johnny, Brian, Alex and even Kyle. He helped film some of their videos and was part of the behind the scenes of the MDE tour and even featured in multiple My Digital Escape videos. Unfortunately, with a lot of Robby's older content no longer existing, it's a bit tricky to find out how his collaboration with My Digital Escape came to be. Although one of the members may have been a part of full screen like Robby was. Someone watching this probably knows the story, but unfortunately I don't, and a quick Google search didn't yield me any results. Outside this, he was very much a vlog and challenge channel at the time, like many members of MDE. He made similar content on his own channel and of course did collabs as I mentioned. Although many of them were lost to time, I was thankfully able to find some of them. Looking back now at what I could find about the channel while it existed, I understand why he got an audience from that and was popular. Now we've established the RobbyEpicSauce brand up until the late 2010s, let's talk about the one channel that hasn't been mentioned and what's happened since. As previously mentioned, Robby is now called Robby Switch Channels, link in bio, and RobbyEpicSauce's last video on the channel was called No More Videos Here, Not Clickbait. So let's talk about the culmination of it all and where we are now, or have been since around 2017. Robby. Robby was created in 2015, and just going through the older videos on the channel, it's very obvious the videos have been removed, although I'm not exactly sure what they were or why they were deleted. If you watch my Sebastian Meats video, you might be saying to yourself, well, he deleted the videos with him. Well, maybe he did, but there's definitely still some of them online. I'm not here to speculate why or what they were, that's not the point of this part of the video. His oldest video publicly available on the channel is called Dare Time Duct Tape to a Wall. Just going through his channel, you can see he did challenge videos and kept doing them even when he moved to the channel full time, with a lot of content with his girlfriend Tori, which is nice. It also included the occasional prank and of course a vlog or two. He also delved into reaction content in 2018, and later that year he would truly find his niche. What is his niche, I hear you ask? Well, it is crafts. His first public video about crafts has 11 million views. It was uploaded in 2018, and that's almost all he's done since. He's tried sprinkling in different things here and there like reaction videos and pranks, challenges, that kind of thing. But most of them haven't performed as well as his craft videos, which honestly is a shame. Interestingly, he still somewhat frequently collabs with Johnny Gilbert. As of writing, he hasn't uploaded on the channel in 4 months. But I assume he'll be back soon given that he has been posting community posts about what he should film next. He does though sit at an impressive 3 million subscribers as of writing. While his main channel was originally made for combining the elements of the other channels he had, it looks like that's changed since 2017. Maybe he pigeonholed himself too much. I mean, that's what I did, and that's why I made a second channel. Since 2017, he has essentially remade the channels he abandoned to focus on Robby. Outside the main channel, he also has Robby and Tori, which is a collab channel with his girlfriend, Robby Reacts, which is obviously a reaction channel, Robby Shorts, which is just short versions of his videos, which is a common thing now. People just make shorts channels so that they can post YouTube shorts, rather than clogging their main channel with YouTube shorts. Robby Clips, which is, I assume, essentially shorts but longer, and horizontally not vertically, and Robby Vlogs, which of course is a vlog channel. We're basically back to where we started, spreading different content over different channels, which isn't a bad thing. It's just unfortunate when it seems as if he stopped doing it to focus on one channel and then pigeonholed himself to the point where he went back to how it was before, when he already had the pre-established audience for those niches like vlogs and such. Also, I'm not saying having multiple channels is a bad thing, I don't want you to get that impression, because the amount of channels I have myself isn't small either. I completely understand the making different channels for different things thing. He's also found quite a bit of success on TikTok, gaining over 700,000 followers as of writing. Hopefully he continues to do what he loves and keeps on growing, because although it's a long-winded story, the story of RobbyEpicSauce is indeed an epic one. It was suggested in the comments of a previous video that I should make a video about Damon, also known as Deefizzy. With a little bit of research, I thought this was going to turn into an online disappearance video, but it's not. Let's talk about what happened to Deefizzy. Damon was another big part of the whole emo scene while not being emo himself. He's made important videos about things I've mentioned in the past, like the whole Austin Jones fiasco and what happened with Brian Stars. There's mention of him in a lot of those spaces because he's been around for a long time, and by that I mean his main channel was made in 2008 and his videos really reflect it, not in a bad way, but you can tell it's very 2008 YouTube. For quite a few years he would make vlogs and random stuff, back when you could make videos and just be yourself and get an audience. The videos weren't overproduced, they were simple and straightforward. There's some clickbait as is to be expected, but they're so out there that of course they're not meant to be taken seriously. I'm unsure how well it's documented, but it's alleged that Damon got famous on a site called Blog TV, which I think I've mentioned at least once in this series previously. You can still find screenshots of his profile on Ustream around this time. Blog TV did eventually merge with YouNow, which he was also pretty active on and was definitely popular, gaining over 300,000 fans, although he's been inactive on there for a long time. Just like many other creators I've mentioned in this series who were once popular on YouNow. He was also a part of Justin TV, which was the original name of Twitch, by the way. He was an early adapter of some things online, especially in the live streaming space. Like, I don't think I've mentioned Justin TV for anyone else in this series, and we're 20 episodes in. He was of course on MySpace too, where he said in a podcast a few years ago he used to promote his videos, which we'll talk about soon. Unfortunately, after a few years things would start to take a toll on Damon, at least publicly. Before we get into that, I just want to state that in 2014 he was part of what was called a Warped YouTuber. Warped Tour basically had a thing where they'd select YouTubers to cover their tour, meet fans and interview bands. 2014 also saw Brian Stars as a Warped YouTuber along with Johnny Gilbert. And yes, Damon is in a My Did You Escape video, and a Brian video, and a Johnny video. In a 2020 podcast with Adobe, he says that he became obsessed with YouTube in high school and for quite a while didn't really have friends in the outside world. He also mentions that what really got him famous was a collab with Shane Dawson, and he even appeared on Shane's podcast in 2017. He mentions that around 2010 his anxiety got really bad, and he also found out that he had been diagnosed with OCD as a child. This might seem a bit off topic, but it'll make sense soon. In regards to Warped Tour, he doesn't really go too into it, but it seemed like it was a positive, or that's the impression I got from listening to the podcast at least. In 2018, he checked himself into rehab. He posted a video about it after posting some tweets, which I will briefly go over. He went to Warped Tour and people saw him and were worried. He said that he abruptly left the internet because he wanted to die, that he needed to change his lifestyle. It's honestly pretty sad to read about, especially looking back at the videos he used to make. He also says that he would isolate himself for sometimes months at a time. He became really bitter and that he stopped doing things in general because he spent too much time in his head and hated the person he was, that at one point he was losing his mind. He goes into a lot more detail about it in his posts. They'll be linked below if you want to read them, but they come with a trigger warning just in case. In the interview in 2020, he reflected upon this. He said that being around people who were going through similar things helped him not feel alone, and he seemed to feel more hopeful in the podcast. He also mentioned that he was returning to YouTube, so let's talk about that. Where is he now? Just for additional context before we go on, he did quit YouTube or stop uploading at least at one stage prior to going into rehab. He did return to YouTube on his Damon Fizzy channel for one video. His main channel hasn't seen an upload in 5 years at this point since the rehab video, although according to the Wayback Machine he did remove a video called Anxiety/OCD Destroyed My Life, which is fine given the explanation he gave in the podcast. It's probably pretty sensitive. Currently sits at almost 600,000 subscribers on his main channel and almost 400,000 on his second channel. But that isn't the end of the video because he is still around. In fact, he's very active. Outside of social medias like Twitter, which he still posts to pretty often, most days in fact, you can still see his face on Twitch. He's been streaming pretty often recently. Even though he may not have returned to YouTube, he's still alive and still around and hopefully in a better place. This is what happened to Deefizzy. As with every video in this series and every video that I make, I'm not claiming that this is 100% the story. I do my best to research, but I don't always find everything, so there's a chance that you watching this know more than I do or know things that I couldn't find. So if there's any additional context that you want to add in the comments, feel free to. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure the viewers will too. Diego was mentioned to me in a comment a while ago now. I was hesitant to cover it due to other people having made videos about it, as there's no point in essentially remaking someone else's video, but I hope to bring something a little different to the table in this video. So let's start at the start. Diegosaurs' channel started a decade ago in 2014, although finding anything from prior to 2018 can be difficult. outside of the My Digital Escape video, which we'll get to. Well, in saying that, it's not exactly something Diego hides, with his oldest public video being reacting to my old emo YouTube videos. Unfortunately, the earliest save of his channel I could find was from 2019, when he wasn't actually called Diegosaurs, but TSM Diego, which we'll get to soon. He seemingly deleted all his videos from before he reacted to those old videos, although I found some, one of which is on screen at the moment. Anyway, let's construct a timeline of sorts, or try to at least. Diego started on YouTube back in 2014 under the name Diego Navarrete. As you can see in this screenshot, he was popular on YouNow. In fact, the first save of his YouNow account has him in the trending people section. Although he no longer streams on there, he has 650,000 fans. Although these may not be his origins, as his Twitter account was made in 2013, implying there's a year or so unaccounted for. Although it would make sense if it was a personal account before it was made for his online endeavours. In 2015, he had a guest spot on My Digital Escape in a video entitled How to Survive High School. Around this time, he was dating My Digital Escape member Shannon. We'll talk about Shannon a bit more soon. He also attended VidCon in 2015, even doing an interview. That same year, there was also a petition made for Diego to join My Digital Escape after what happened with Austin. It had a whole 12 supporters. Shannon and Diego had separated by 2016, although it's where some of Shannon's video comes into play, although at the time Diego was continuing to do his thing, growing his audience on YouNow and going on tours even, which is where some of the issues arose. A 40-minute clip from a YouNow stream from Diego in September of 2016 exists. It's entitled Diego Exposes Tyler and Shannon. There's things mentioned in the stream that I can't find evidence of, although there does exist tweets from around that time that could give an indication of what was said. In short, the tweets imply that Shannon's boyfriend at the time, Tyler, said Diego cheated on her. It's not implied how exactly, although tweets would suggest that it was due to what is known as stage kissing, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The main issue with the stage kissing was that it was with underage fans. Diego rebuttals this by saying that Shannon cheated on him, and because it's a live stream from 2016, you wouldn't expect any evidence to be shown. I couldn't find a copy of Tyler's video anywhere, so that's all I have to offer in regards to that stream in the context of what I could find. 2017 saw Diego as a finalist for YouNow of the Year at the 9th Streamy Awards. Their description reads as follows. Regularly making the Editor's Choice selection on YouNow, Diegosaurs Navarrete is something of a superstar on the platform with almost 600,000 fans and 12 million plus total views. The 20-year-old from Colorado loves having deep life conversations with his followers, opening up about everything from his sexuality to how to dye your hair perfectly pink. Although he also has a popular Twitter, Instagram and YouTube account. He heads to YouNow when he just wants to hang out with his fans, live streaming his whims like cooking up some roasted goldfish tonight with a laser pen and comparing hairstyles. He also appeared in January 2017 with a bunch of other super popular social media stars on the hashtag Good Times Live tour in Chicago, cementing his status as a top influencer. 2017 also saw him start streaming more on Twitch, which would soon become his new preferred platform, and by 2019 he would join TSM. 2017, from what I could find, was pretty quiet for Diego. I mentioned near the start that it was difficult to find anything prior to 2018, and 2018 is where we're up to. Diego seemingly removed a bunch of videos from YouTube and started uploading again, after somewhat fading into obscurity. I don't mean that in a mean way, by the way. Diego basically says the same thing in a clip from mid-2018, saying he was off the radar and nobody even knew he was still alive.
Hey, if we meet, can I get a stage kiss pic to make my ex jealous, or do you not do that anymore? I honestly don't really care anymore. Like, whenever I actually did social media and people would get salty when I did stage kisses, I thought it was like the dumbest thing ever. But now that I'm like off the radar and nobody even knows I'm still alive, I don't think it matters, right? Like, I can just do whatever. Like, I can do whatever I want. And that's so nice, dude. You know how annoying that was, like, back in the day? Like, people would like freak out over like any little thing you did. did. Like, that shit was so annoying.
I think given what would happen a few years later, that this clip is interesting.
It's actually pretty chill now that I don't really do social media anymore. People can't freak out. I could take as many stage kiss pictures as I want. Because I guess I see where people are coming from, where they're like, oh, it's like inappropriate because you're like 20 and some of the girls are like 15. But it's not like I'm actually making out with them, bro. It's a fucking picture.
Anyway, in 2019 he was signed to TSM. TSM is an esports organization. Within a couple of years, Diego had gone from famous to in a little bit of trouble to obscure to part of one of the biggest esports organizations in the world. It's a bit strange because Diego hasn't changed his name, although to be fair it isn't the easiest to find out about. He had become one of the best players in the world in a game called Apex Legends, which also has a competitive scene, hence why he was signed to TSM. In 2019 alone he gained over 300,000 followers on Twitch alone. Some of his achievements in Apex are honestly impressive, and I can see why based off his gaming ability he was picked up by TSM. Unfortunately though, 2020 would have other ideas for Diego. Diego kept on going from strength to strength until midway through the year when Shannon would release the video My Stalker and Assault, My Ex, Underage Fans, Brian Starr's Involvement, and Why I'm Talking Now. I briefly mentioned this video in at least one other video, but never because of Diego, until now. According to Twitter, this video was made after Shannon tweeted this. Seeing Out Ninja promote/stream with my abusive ex-boyfriend was not what I was hoping to wake up to today. I'm so torn on telling this whole story. I don't want to put myself in harm's way again, but it's so shitty that I was cheated on, stalked, assaulted, etc. and no one remembers. To which someone responded and said, wait, who is Ninja streaming with? And Shannon said, my ex Diego. I tried to keep it all under wraps when it happened, but he had another girlfriend unknown to me, who he knew was coming to the airport to attack me blindly, and he didn't tell me. Resulted in a court battle I won and a lot of trauma. The full video will be linked in the description, but I'll summarize it to some extent. Shannon says that her and Diego largely spoke online, but they were set to meet each other. But according to Shannon, Diego had another girlfriend, as she mentioned in the tweet I just read, who was well aware of what was going on, and even met them at the airport where the girl assaulted Shannon. The assault case was the case she won, if that wasn't clear. But yes, her video goes into a lot more detail. Before we go on, I just want to clarify, none of what is being discussed in this video is illegal, as Shannon says, it's just immoral. She also alleges that Brian Starrs tried to silence her when she came out about it, as both her and Diego wrote very similar apologies online and they were both managed by Brian at the time, as if he was trying to save face. Outside of this, stage kissing underage fans would once again be a topic of discussion, and Shannon came with receipts, a lot of them in fact. I haven't actually mentioned what stage kissing is yet, but it's essentially meant to look like a real kiss, except you place your thumbs between yours and the other person's lips. So you're not actually making contact, it's essentially a fake kiss. Diego made a whole response video which I'll go over shortly. The day prior to his response video he released a tweet longer because TSM dropped him from their organization. Diego's tweet longer reads as follows. Hey guys, just wanted to clear here. I've been dropped from TSM, which I understand. This is due to some old pictures that resurfaced of me taking pictures with fans at meet and greets a few years back. I used to be a YouTuber vlog type kind, where I would kiss them on the cheek for a picture if they wanted, or a stage kiss for a picture if they wanted. Not every picture was like this of course, but if fans wanted it, I would do it for their picture. I stopped doing it around 2017 because I got some flack for it and realized it was inappropriate. I understand why I was wrong, and even if they wanted the picture I should have just said no and thought of a better pose or something. I was definitely out of line for that, but please understand that it came from me knowing that these people would spend hundreds on tickets and travel very far in a long line to meet you. I just wanted to make sure that the little time they spent with you, they at least got what they wanted. That's where the thought of me doing it, or the what the fuck were you thinking, that was it. Sorry to everyone at TSM for hurting the name, and sorry to my fans for letting you down. Love you all. Remember that clip I played earlier?
Hey, if we meet, can I get a stage kiss pic to make my ex jealous, or do you not do that anymore? I honestly don't really care anymore. Like, whenever I actually did social social media and people would get salty when I did stage kisses, I thought it was like the dumbest thing ever. But now that I'm like off the radar and nobody even knows I'm still alive, I don't think it matters, right? Like I can just do whatever. Like I can do whatever I want.
That was 2 years before this drama. What he is saying in that tweet longer doesn't add up with what he said on You Now 2 years prior. The day after that tweet longer, he did release his response video, or his reaction to Shannon's video at least. So let's go over it. Towards the start of the video, he says that Shannon made the video around 3 times before. Unfortunately, there isn't exactly proof of that I could find. There is mention of it previously, and Tyler did make a video about it, which I mentioned earlier, and Shannon has also mentioned it previously. So yes, it has been mentioned before. It's not new information exactly. In the response, Diego seems to take everything on board, although he does contradict himself by saying that he didn't really date the girl that assaulted Shannon, but then says that she was asking to get back together. Diego goes on to say that they fought on social media after the breakup, and that's what he's trying not to do with the response video. I mean, it's not a vicious response or anything, so mission accomplished, I suppose. He also claims that the aforementioned Tyler video was the source of the hashtag that Shannon alleged Diego made against her, kind of. That it was in response to Tyler's video and that it was stop Shannon and it wasn't malicious. It was more about stopping making videos about everything. And no, Diego doesn't even have a copy of the video. Also, I know that I just mentioned the hashtag that Shannon mentioned in her video, but I didn't mention it in the section where I was talking about Shannon's video. But if you've seen Shannon's video prior to watching this, then you will understand the context for that.
And then continued after the fact, after I got home and we broke up, to continue to harass me on social media. He even started a #1 trending tag on social media. Shannon is over party or something.
No, we never did a Shannon is over party. What I did was, this was like 2 years after these original events. All of a sudden, on Twitter, I see a video pop up. It's the same shit that's happening right now, where her boyfriend at the time, Tyler, made a video with her claiming that I cheated on her and that I was doing inappropriate things or whatever. That video, I think, has since been deleted, so I can't really cite it too much. But that's where the hashtag came from. So I made a hashtag, and this was with good intentions, but it was a really stupid idea. I made a hashtag called Stop Shannon, which was basically telling her to please stop making videos of me. I just kind of want to be left alone and move past all this stuff. Really stupid looking back on it, because people went to the hashtag and said a bunch of mean things like, oh, Shannon, you're X and X, or they just started insulting her and stuff like that, and that's not what the purpose or the message was.
Diego also states about the similar apologies that although he appeared in an MDE video, that he was never managed by Brian Stars. He also says that he doesn't stage kiss anymore, which I don't doubt. It very much seemed like a sign of the times. Diego explains that on the Boys of Summer tour, which you can still find remnants of online, he would do meet and greets. As he said in the tweet longer. He didn't want to deny them because of how much they paid and how far some of them travelled. He didn't want to let them down. He does say that he hasn't done it in 4 years and understands now that it's inappropriate, which takes me back to the 2018 video, which would have been 2 years prior to this response video we're talking about. He also says that he has forgiven himself. Diego's response will of course be linked in the description below. Although some of Diego's posts hinted at his leaving hopefully being temporary, he has not to date rejoined TSM, but it wouldn't be too long until he was taken under the wing by another esports organisation. In January of 2021, just over 6 months after being kicked out of TSM, he would join Solified, and while he isn't with them anymore, it wouldn't be due to anything mentioned in this video. He actually left on his own terms, citing things that have come to light about the managers and owners of the organisation. In short, the organisation was found to not have paid its players. Around the time of Diego's departure, it ceased operation and has not returned in the time since. The response to Diego's response was mixed, I would say. Although many of the top comments on the video I went over are positive, his numbers don't say the same thing, with Diego losing 20,000 subs on YouTube in the past 3 years, which may seem oddly specific, but that's as far back as Social Blade goes. He continued to grow on Twitch even after his response. He lost around 10,000 followers around that time, but quickly gained them back, hitting an all-time follower peak in 2022. Since his peak, he has lost 20,000 followers and continues to lose followers most streams according to Twitch tracker. I guess this is a good time to state that he does still stream. In fact, he's live as I'm writing this video. He is still streaming largely first-person shooter games. He kind of uploads to YouTube, with his last video being 7 months ago, or full-length video at least. He's also now a creator on OnlyFans. Just before I go, there's a few things I haven't mentioned in detail in this video that I could have. I didn't see much evidence or really want to go into the viewbotting stuff from 2022. It was seemingly one tweet which was deleted and apologized for. I also didn't think there was much point in going into his relationship with Faith either, although in saying that, there's probably some things I've missed anyway. Not intentionally, of course, but thanks for watching. Hair Jordan was suggested in the comments of a previous video. You can find his full name online, but I couldn't find any of those linked to him actually mentioning it personally. So I will simply refer to him as Jordan, as to not dox him. Jordan has many things in common with a bunch of people who have already been spoken about in this series. He was, and still is, a member of the emo community. Before we get too carried away, let's start at the start. This is What Happened to Hair Jordan. Jordan created his channel in 2015 and currently sits at nearly 450,000 subscribers. As with a lot of the rest of the members of the series, he started doing challenges and vlogs, and even streamed on YouNow. Going through his oldest publicly available videos, it's evident that quite a few are missing. For example, less than 30 videos into the list, he has his 100th video, implying that there's at least 70 missing prior to that alone. I'm not sure what these videos are, but I know that one of them at least is his drunk yoga video with Victoria. Although it's not fair to assume that he just removed videos with her, because a quick search of his channel shows that there's multiple videos of them still on his channel. Although the one video I did find is now private, it hasn't actually been deleted off the platform. The reason why I mentioned Victoria, by the way, is because they were dating. The earliest save I could find on the Wayback Machine was after his 100th video, and honestly, it doesn't matter why they're not online now. I'm sure he has his reasons. He arguably saw his most success in late 2019 to 2020, with his 4 most viewed videos coming from that time period, and 7 of his top 10 also being from around then, with the most popular video being him reacting to the Area 51 raid. Interestingly enough, most of his top 10 videos feature RobbyEpicSauce, who I did also dedicate an entire video to in this series, although oddly enough, I didn't actually mention Jordan in that video at all, which in hindsight is a massive oversight. Robby isn't the only person he's collaborated with, of course. We'll talk more about that a bit later in the video. Before we jump into the next section, in regards to other social medias, he has just under 50,000 fans on YouNow. It's still linked in his YouTube links, but I don't believe he streams on there anymore. I don't think it's really been updated, as the TikTok linked in his YouTube bio is now a dead link. And yes, his Facebook is still active. It sits at 141,000 followers on Instagram and 2,000 on Twitter, with the account, called Hair Jordan 10, being made in 2020. His original account, One Hair Jordan, was suspended for a reason unknown to me, but the last save on the Wayback Machine shows it had around 38,000 followers. The save also says that it was suspended, but if you go to the link now, it just says that it doesn't exist anymore. To clarify, to my knowledge, when an account was suspended, if you go to it now, it says that it was suspended. So I don't know what's up with the inconsistency. By 2017, he was nearly at 200,000 subscribers on his main channel. He was growing well. The same year he made his channel, he also made a second channel, which to date has no save on the Wayback Machine. In 2016, he made a channel called Creative Alternative, which is currently inactive, not having posted in 5 years. In 2021, he also made a channel called Reaction House, which had over 100 uploads, although that is also now inactive. There's a chance that there's more side channels, but these are the ones that I could find. Collabs are a great way to grow a channel by overlapping audiences, and Jordan has done quite a few of them. Here's a list of some of the people he's made videos with that he has posted on his own channel. For starters, there's the guy who I made the last video on, Diegosaurs, and then there's Johnny Gilbert, Alex Doré, Mercedes Danielle, Brian Stars, Bobby Mares, Eugenia Cooney, Social Repose, Billy Dawn Webb, Power Rice, and Jake Bateman. Although the playlist has over 50 videos, more than 10 of them have since been privated, and one even deleted, so I'm sure this list isn't entirely accurate. Jordan has also ventured into a musical career, with the first public video being a cover he did as the duo Crazy Crazy Awesome Awesome, which was with his then girlfriend Victoria, who I mentioned earlier. The band hasn't posted on Instagram since 2015, so it's safe to assume that the band has ended, but this didn't stop Jordan. His first music video will be in 2016 for the song Zombies Don't Dream, although oddly enough that isn't his first single on Spotify. Since then he's gone on to release numerous singles, a few EPs, 2017's The Human, 2021's Vanboy and 2023's Love and Rain, and even an album entitled Darkness in 2018, which are all on Spotify if you want to listen to them. Just note that I haven't listened to them personally, I just know that they exist. And while this isn't entirely a description of what he does now, it's certainly a part of it, as he's released a song this year already. But let's talk about what he's up to now. In short, Jordan still makes videos on YouTube, with his latest video being around a month ago. He's actually got more followers on TikTok than on YouTube, boasting over 500,000. As is becoming commonplace now, at least in this series, he also does OnlyFans. The channel is still growing, he hasn't gotten to a point where he's losing subscribers, he just isn't growing as much as he once was. He hasn't disappeared and shows no signs of going anywhere. This has been What Happened to Hair Jordan. The MSUs will be on the end screen. If there's someone that I haven't made a video about in that list, and you want me to make a video about them, whether they're around or they're not, let me know in the comments below. There's a chance I might make a video about it.